morning, Newsong. How are you this morning? Woo! This week we celebrated 20 years of Newsong. Yes. That was on Thursday officially, but we are celebrating today too. And so we're glad that you have joined us. Would you stand as you are comfortably able to worship with us?
Come quickly, you have always been enough. Though the night may
Welcome, welcome to our living room. This is a place for all of you to be here. This is your living room too. And so I hope that you feel the welcome and the love of being in this space. I certainly do. Looking at all of your faces, I'm so grateful to celebrate this day with each of you. We call this place our living room because I'm looking at each of you individually, knowing that God sees you, that God welcomes you as you are. You don't have to change something about you. You just get to be comfortable and loved and celebrated here. So that's what this morning is about. We're going to continue to sing together. And so we've sung this for years and years and years. I thought it was appropriate for today. The song is God With Us, and it reminds me every time that we're not left alone. And so would you sing with us?
Never failing, you are faithful. All creation is in awe of who you are. You're the healer, you're the healer of the sick and the broken. You are comfort for every heart that mourns. Our King, and our Savior forever. Eternity, we will sing of all you've done. Ooh, scroll. The Lion of Judah, who conquered the grave. He is David's root and the Lamb who died to rescue the slave from every people and tribe, every nation and tongue. He has made us a kingdom and priest to God, to reign with the Son. Is he worthy? Is he worthy of all blessing and honor and glory? Is he worthy of these? Oh, he is. He is. He is. He is worthy. Is he worthy? Is he worthy of all blessing and honor and glory? Is he worthy of this? He is. He is. He is. He is. He is worthy. He is he worthy? Is he worthy of all blessing and honor and glory? Is he worthy of this? He is worthy of this. He is worthy of this. He is worthy. Can we sing, is anyone worthy one more time? Is anyone worthy? Is anyone whole? Is anyone able to break the seal and open the scroll? The Lion of Judah, who conquered the grave. He is David's root and the Lamb who died to rescue the slave. He is worthy. He is worthy. He is worthy of all blessing and honor and glory. He is worthy of this. He is worthy of all this. He is worthy of this. He is. God, of all of our praise, all of our gratitude, all of our surrender and our trust, you are worthy of it all. Can any one of us tell the story of this place that isn't your faithfulness over and over and over and over, even if it wasn't in our timing? But God, that in this place, on this ground, in these people, you have written a story that says you are good to us, you are faithful to us, you are worthy of all praise, all blessing, all honor, all glory. So we sing that this morning, we live it this morning in the stories that we will hear, in the stories that we'll tell for years and years to come. God, you are good. With the rising of the sun to its setting, your faithfulness carries us. We love you, God. And we're grateful. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Would you take a second to turn to the people next to you, greet them with a hug or a high five, a handshake, welcome, welcome, welcome,
And a special welcome to those of you joining us online. We're so grateful that you are here. This is a special day, and we hope that you feel a part of that welcome, that we get to celebrate these 20 years with you too. And the 20 years, not all of that includes online. So live stream is good. We're very grateful to be able to do it. So welcome to you as well. You may.
There was something else before this. Should have brought a Kleenex.
Fresh out.
We are so grateful to get to share this day with you, the celebration of 20 years. And for some of us, it's been that 20 years. For some of you, maybe it's been 2 weeks. But we're grateful that you're here and hope that you will consider this place, on whether it's for today, for now, or for the next 20 years, home, that you'll call it, feel that it's safe, that it's a space where God can meet you, and that we come longing for that to be ultimately the goal for all of us, to experience Him, to remember. And this idea of remembering isn't a biblical concept, but it's throughout the Old Testament. There are these significant moments where the people of Israel experience something, and they recognize that ultimately, without the presence and help and support and strength of God, they wouldn't have made it thus far. And so they would build these little monuments of stone, and the translation we've given that is literally a transliteration. It's the word Ebenezer. Anybody ever heard that word? If you grew up in church singing "Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing" like I did, you know, you would sing, "Here I raise mine Ebenezer." And my kids not growing up is sort of in that kind of church that sang that kind of song, always felt like that's at a bar, like you raise a drink to somebody.
Cheers.
Yeah, so here I raise my Ebenezer to God. The idea of the Ebenezer, it literally is the words Eben, Ezer, Eben being stone, Ezer is a description of God. And it means that He's my strength, He's my warrior, that He's my support, that He's my help. And it was this opportunity to say we want to visibly, in this space, in this place, recognize that God is here, has been here all along, as Jacob did when he woke up from his dream and realized, oh, God's been here all along, and I'm just now recognizing it. To not have those moments, but to say there's a physical sense in which we can see and remember. And it's why we named our building fund "We Will Remember," because there was this tangible sense of what this building meant to us, not as just a building, but as what it meant in the journey of God's work in our hearts and at Newsong. And 10 years ago we had a celebration, and we brought these stones, and so we brought the 9 that are left back. One of them walked away, but hopefully it's put to good use.
It's because we're 60, we can't remember.
Yeah. I need to carry a stone. So
I was the heckler for today.
Oh, yeah.
So it's always somebody in my family. This is my wife, Shelly, by the way, if you haven't met her. But there's deep joy for us in sharing this anniversary with you, for all those that are here and those that will watch or are watching online, to know that there is this incredible journey that we've been on, and hopefully that you're beginning to sense or feel for yourself that there's this God who's for us, who wants to meet us where we are, as Kelly reminds us week in and week out, that we belong, that He is for us, that He is with us, that we are loved above all things by a God who is love. And so in the scriptural tradition, in In the ancient traditions, story really matters. To tell the stories, it was how traditions and the scriptures were passed down for years, just an oral tradition of stories of what God had been done. And so today we want to take a few moments to kind of share some of those stories. And as we do, invite you probably noticed there was a little 4x6 card on your chair as you got here, to whether now or this afternoon, or if hopefully you're planning on attending the celebration this evening with us, that you would, yeah. Maybe you'd want to write down a sentence or a prayer or just a story of what it's meant to you, your own journey of walk with God, what he's been to you, if that ties to Newsong, wonderful. If it doesn't, it's just still the reminder of the goodness and bigness and love of God. And so we wanted to include you in this story. You are part of our story, have been, and we're so thankful for that, for your own story, for this family as a community, its story and our part in it as well. And so it's the invitation for this to be a day of stories from all of us, even though you'll primarily hear from us today. We want to take these then, and we're going to, if you choose to fill it out this morning at some point, feel free to do that. In the end, we take communion. If you want to come up and put the cards in the baskets, we'll gather those. We'll have those more cards available this evening, and then we'll compile those. And for the next few weeks, then we'll put up these walls, similar walls around the back or somewhere in the room with these stories posted, so you can come around and begin to read some of those stories of the folks from around you. And so you can sign it or not sign it. It's up to you. But we'd love to hear some of what your story is. And so with that said, then this is the hope for today, to share some of the stories going back as far as 20 years with a God who is always in the present. And so thankful to get a chance to share some of that with you.
So the note cards are not for voting this week. We voted last week. We can move on to
in or out.
better use. Yeah, vote in or, yeah, this is like Survivor. You got to vote one of us to stay on the island.
No.
Out.
I knew it. That was the easy one. So thinking about 20 years is a long time. I'm sure life looks much different for you all. 20 years ago.
Some of you
than it
didn't
does now.
exist.
Some may not have existed. Yeah. And just a twinkle in the thought of an eye. And, and that there are so many relationships and loved ones and stories and life that has happened over 20 years. And so to transport you two back 20 years ago to the beginning of Newsong, I know that in both of your histories as missionary kids who grew up in Argentina, and then going to school and working, and that starting a church was never really like a thing. That was not really in your minds. That was not on your bingo card, And so wondering that since that, not ever seeing that would be something that God would call you to, but then us all sitting here today knowing that God did call you to it and you said yes. How has that sense of surprise, that sense of awe, that sense of obedience into the unknown, how did that shape the beginning of Newsong? And then how, as you reflect on it now, how do you understand those experiences as gifts for yourself and for this community?
Me? So Dave and I did grow up together in Argentina. We were both missionary kids. We've known each other since we were 10. That is good in some ways, not good in others. We saw each other all through high school. Who he dated, I saw who he dated in high school. He dated some losers. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Who did you date?
His brother.
My best friend. My brother.
His best friend. And then that finally settled on the best.
Nice try.
Even the heckler needs a heckler.
Yes, that's right. So, I will say this. When you say it wasn't on my bingo card, I do think from a very early age I felt called to ministry. I didn't know what it would be like because growing up as a Southern Baptist missionary kid, women were not called to ministry like men were. And so I just felt like, well, I'm going to marry somebody that's in ministry. That's what it'll be because I can't be the person. So it'll have to be somebody else that I get attached to. So that kind of was on my bingo card a little bit. And as events happened and as David and I connected and over through college and we just began to do ministry, and he felt called to ministry. And as we got married, we have served in churches for how long now, Dave? It's been a long time. But never as the pastor. It was always the music guy, youth person, always helping somewhere. I've done college ministry. I did college ministry for years in previous churches and did it here also for, I think Lindsey was in my college ministry. Danielle was in my college ministry. Brittany was in my college ministry when I did it. And so I just feel like God was preparing us. And what you know is God doesn't waste an experience, whether good or bad. And there's been some not great ones in church. And many of you have had church heartache. And so we know when we look back at some of the churches we've been in and some of the things that we've gone through, that God was preparing us all along to be here, that we could do this. Although I was out in the first, like when Dave told me, I think God's leading me to start a church, I said, not this wife. No, and I didn't say, he worked on his doctorate, was going to work on his doctorate, and I did say not with this wife. And I'm like, really not with this wife. I'm not doing 2 kids, 3 kids by myself anymore. But when he came to me about this particular thing, out of kind of a heartache for us, we said, we won't talk about it, we'll just pray. You won't convince me, I won't convince you, and we'll just pray about it. And we did. And literally God woke me up in the middle of the night. I can't tell you if it's a dream, but I knew. When I woke up, I said, that's what we need to do. Start a church. We had 3 kids. I had a part-time job. Woo, that was going to be a lot of money. But we knew that if this was what we had known from all our past experiences, and that's why the rocks, is that God had brought us through many times before where we didn't know. And so we knew if he's going to do it there, then he can do it here. And so we said yes, and that was our posture, is just, and Dave said that often, our posture should be just, what's next, God? Yes. And so we said yes. We didn't know what it would look like. We had a conversation that we would not contact people we knew from previous churches or anything like that. We would just decide. And then if somebody asked us what we were doing, we would say, I think we're going to start a church. And we had a meeting, and people showed up. We were like, what? And that's how Newsong began, as just out of that thought of God, yes. And I looked at Dave and I said, can you preach? Which is kind of crazy, because we led a youth ministry for years where he taught all the time, in Texas, and that youth ministry had grown to like 120. But I was like, can you? Because you can sing, I know that, but can you, and yes. It's what God has led us to. Have we made mistakes in 20 years? For sure. Could we change some things? Maybe. But we know that God's been in it. And so our yes has been with everything, yes.
Yeah, thanks. It has been it's just such a joyful story all along. And so it's just trying to go through and pick ones that would, so we piggyback where Shelly was. When Shelly's folks found out that she was dating me, it was not a good scene. And maybe she's only married because I was headed into ministry. Maybe that's what got me in. I don't know. No, not really. But they're to me second parents, and over the years have just really grown appreciative of and knew them well, loved them well. Just of the reality of God's presence all along the way. I felt in the 5th grade, I felt like God was calling me into ministry. I was in a missionary family. Maybe that was part of it. But I just sensed this calling. It wasn't anything earth-shattering, but it was just a sense of, I feel like I'm going to be headed into ministry. And as we got into high school, as we started dating, as we were sort of growing through the early stages of the first 10 years of marriage, we really felt like the calling was a calling back overseas. And we're both fluent in Spanish. We grew up in a Spanish culture, feel at home in a Spanish culture. And my parents had, by that point, retired. And of 5 kids, I'm the one that's in ministry. And they're all involved, but no one chose that as vocation. And so it was in 1993, we were going through this sort of crisis of belief, the church that we were in. And so it was one of those, probably the first time we had this moment of, God, if we know it's you, the answer is yes, do what you want to do. And there were just a number of obstacles for us being able to get overseas. It didn't make sense at the time. And I got a call inviting us here to Illinois. Long story short, we responded with a yes because felt like God was in it. And that's sort of been the story all along. And so 20 years ago, we were in this journey that Shelly was just describing. I remember sitting at Ruby Tuesdays with my family before we had as Shelly said, putting the word out very cautiously to try and not create tension, and at the same time make sure that it was whatever's going to happen was by the Spirit's movement. And so we needed clarity. If somebody asks, we want to say what's going on. But we sat down at Ruby Tuesdays in Collegeville, and I remember by that point, it was that day, I had the sense of what, if we did have start a church, if that's what God led us to do. And Shelly had already crossed that line of feeling led by the Spirit, which was monumental for us. Because we knew that if this was what God wanted, he'd bring us both there individually without having to talk the other into it. And so it was already one of those confirmations. And we sat there and Shelly asked, well, so what would we call it? And that day I'd had the 5 or 6 different psalms in my mind. Sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord a new song. And it was part of that because my whole background up to then was worship leader primarily. And so, but it was more than just new song in terms of creativity and music, though that's significant, and the power of music. It was more about, sort of the idea of be ready for whatever comes along, sing a new song. And I think the invitation of Psalm is there to remind us that ultimately that we are always growing, or always changing, or our story's going somewhere. And something about that would just resonate with me as a musician, as one who felt like there has to be some sense of knowing where we're going, but I don't have to know the details. I mean, we didn't have a vision statement for at least 5 years. It was just sort of, so we're trying to figure out who we are, what this thumbprint is, what this new song God is singing in us and through us is. And I wasn't really needing more than that. What I discovered for me in terms of sort of one of those aha moments was somewhere along the lines of, 2-3 months into the journey of Newsong, and we were sort of, what had happened at that point was a number of people came in the early days because they knew us and wanted to sort of see and participate in what was happening, to wish us well. And so we had this great energy, as all generally church startups do, they had this great energy, and it was just a very exciting time. And 3 or 4 months in, I had this sense in which I realized, until this moment, until the calling to start Newsong, I really, as Grant mentioned, I really had never felt like I'm going to start a church. I felt like we're headed to the mission field, and as a missionary kid, I knew missionaries do whatever is needed wherever they are. It might be help build a campground, it might be lead worship, it might be lead a Bible study, it might be preach, it might be do a conference. It's just whatever is needed, that's what you do, the jack of all trades. And that's how I saw myself. And so ultimately, when this role came along and we said yes 4 or 5 months into it, I had this sort of waking moment that felt like, for the first time in my life, though I never missed it, I feel like I'm finally firing on all cylinders of who I am. And I never knew that I wasn't until Newsong. And so it was this moment of like, the goodness and faithfulness of God to not have me in sort of my pre-Newsong life with any sense of dread or discomfort. I loved what I got to do. And with Newsong, it was like, you get to sort of have your cake and eat it too. Because I get to participate in the creative worship side that's so hardwired into me, and yet the joy of discovering ultimately this opportunity and responsibility to lead people spiritually. And so for me, the recognition of that was like, I finally feel like, even though I didn't realize that I was driving with a flat tire, that all of a sudden I feel like I'm rolling as who I am. And I'm so grateful for a couple of things. One, because over the years,
you beat me to it.
my family was supportive of that. And gave me space to understand how to be me and what was happening and continues to happen in my own head and my own walk with Jesus. That just then from that pours into what Newsong is becoming. I mean, it's always been where I'm coming from. What I feel God is doing, leading us, always starts with me. And my family has been so supportive. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm equally grateful for the journey with you all. That for 20 years, you've allowed me keep becoming who I am. Warts and all, but to keep chasing the wind of the Spirit, to see and determine and seek out with wisdom and grace and open hands and palms. God, what do you want to say to us? What do you want to do to us? What song do you want to sing in us and through us now? And so who we are 20 years later is because of you. Because of your willingness to keep saying, okay, I think the Spirit is here. So it's a yes. Because it's not about me. I'm just another guy trying to figure out who I'm supposed to become and do that with grace and wisdom and humility as best I know how. And you allow me to, and you encourage me about this, and you put up with me, sometimes better than she does.
This is true.
So I'm so grateful. All of that to say, just again, this is such a...
And Dave says often, stick around, we'll offend you at some point, but hopefully not too much.
I know for me, when I think about the beginning, I'm going to age you a little bit, but I was a high school senior, getting ready to go to college, and I was a student athlete in high school and college, and so I remember when Newsong was getting started, having this energy of like competition, like I want to be the best. We're going to be the best church. And I remember really settling into, after coming from a previous youth group, even having some of that competitiveness in my youth group, because I think at one point I was the only senior when Newsong first started, and then by the end of my senior year there were like 6 or 7 of us, because I'm like, we're going to be the best. And but I remember in that first year, really fundamentally getting to the core of my own identity and really challenging where competition can exist and where competition is maybe not so helpful. I remember walking away from some of those years with this mantra of there is no us and them, we are all one in Him. And it stuck with me. So often I find myself still wanting to be the best. And when I remember that there is no us and them, that we are all one in Him, it's humbling. It reminds me that we are belonging together, and that if I remember even in premarital counseling, these guys doing premarital counseling for us, and them giving some wisdom, that if you're in a conflict and one of you wins, you both lose. And how humbling that is, that if we're going to be against each other, then we're going to lose. And so you can apply that in so many different relationships. And so this desire to really will the good of the other started out of that space. And I remember some of those initial meetings. And I remember I need to re-listen to Jeremy Camp. Does anybody remember Jeremy Camp? I forgot about him until we were remembering. And I'm like, oh yeah, he had the song about walk by faith and not by fear. And how fundamental those blocks were for me from the very beginning, and how those things still stick with me when it comes to what the church ought to look like, and how do we envision a body of people that belong together when it's so easy, it's so far too easy to be divided and in disagreement and in conflict, but how do we commune together in a way that is Christ-like and honoring in that? So those were some of my beginning stories.
Yeah, I remember I was going into 7th grade the first time I came into Newsong. And I was invited by a friend just randomly, just kind of happened to be invited to his house, and they happened to go to church in the morning and bring me here, and I was along for the ride because I don't know, how old are you, 11 or whatever at that point? And I remember going to Newsong and walking in, and just immediately at the end of service, I was like, this is where I'm meant to be. I didn't know church could be like this. And I had a background and experience of different kinds of church, but just really feeling at home, that sense of, surprise. And then it was just immediately from then on, I just came every Sunday. And Newsong's 20, so it's been 19 years. I wish I could say I've been here for all 20 years, but I haven't. I've been here for 19 years, I think. That sounds right to me. Feels good to me in the spirit. Yeah, and that it's just like every Sunday I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to prioritize going to youth group on Sunday nights and church on Sunday mornings. And how significant it was for me, because then as a middle schooler, which is already a hard time of life, and being in 8th grade, whenever I was in 8th grade, I had a really good friend named Kelly who died in a car accident, her and her older sister over Thanksgiving break. And Newsong was for me, and by saying Newsong, I mean the place, but more than that, the people. It became a community where I could have hurts, and I could have questions, and I could have doubts, and I could have fear, and I could talk about it, and I could be open and honest in my own little 8th grader kind of way, and be met with sincerity, and not be met with, well, you're young, you don't understand, whatever, right? But like that, there was this sense of like, I could lean in, and I can ask the hard things, and I can keep showing up and do the hard work, and I think God will use that, and I think I could, and so that kind of like, you know, in a lot of ways, it was like, it was cool and fun and whatever, but then when things got real, you know, it's that thing of like, are you going to keep doing it or not? And I remember very clearly being like, I have a choice here, and I'm going to choose to lean in and see if there's anything to this. Otherwise, I'll try it out, and if there's nothing, then I'll get Sundays back, you know, my Sunday evening or whatever. But I can't not lean in, you know. And so, yeah, that was obviously it's a formative time already of life, but yeah, and so like surprise, Newsong has continued to be that for me. I just keep throwing my like hurt out there, and people are like, oh.
As you guys think about, as we all think about the last 20 years, within those chapters, there have been mile markers or milestones. I mean, I love the representation of the stones. I know that I've been on several trips with Newsong over the years where we have piled the stones to mark something. Like I remember when we went to Joplin in response to the tornado, and we stacked the stones to remember God has been here all along. And for the sake of time, I'm actually going to consolidate our 2 and 3 questions of, sometimes those milestones come out of celebration and goodness and change and transformation, but sometimes it comes out of challenge. And so it's possible that those milestones blend together in with what has been, how you have faced a challenge. So just tell us about a story, and there's lots of them, so just pick one for the sake of time to share. To share with the family as you remember the past 20 years.
Okay. For me, I remember specifically early on in Newsong, I began to read, hear often about the homeless people. And so I was like, why does this keep showing up everywhere? In songs and books I was reading and things I was seeing. And I'm like, okay, God, if it's something, you got to let me know, because I don't get any. I feel like where am I? Edwardsville, we have homeless people, obviously, but at the time I was not aware. And Dave and I we're at a gas station, go figure, and a guy behind us we end up talking to him and realized that he does a ministry in East St. Louis. And so we decided to meet with him, because one of the things was say yes, right? If God pulls, say yes. And that's how all our ministries have happened here at Newsong, which I love, is that we have said, if you bring somebody and they have something in their head that they feel like God is calling them to do, then help us figure out a way to support that. Help us figure out a way to come alongside them. And so that particular time, I met this man. We ended up having lunch with him. And he said, I go to East St. Louis every Friday night and minister by taking goods and other things. And he said, but we could really use a female. And I'm like, okay. That can be me. I can do that. Isn't it amazing when God puts a thought in your head and then there it is? I'm like, okay, I can do this. And so every Friday night, Dave would drop me off with the kids and I'd be like, I'll be safe. And I would go around East St. Louis and just drop off.
We didn't drop off the kids.
No, you dropped
The
off
kids and
me.
I would drop you off.
Yes. And I would go around and just provide product and other things for people that were there on the streets. And I remember distinctly standing there with some ladies one day, and mid-afternoon, early afternoon, and a SUV drove by, and they rolled down their window, and they stuck a track about Jesus through the window, and I went over, and I'm like, thank you. and you know, and these ladies were like, what are they doing? I said, they want you to know about Jesus. And I was like, this is the thing, God. These people need a hug. They need me to be present. They need me to really care about them, whether they ever come to Jesus or not. They need me to love them. And so we did that ministry for a while, and that's kind of over the years how we've ended up doing the ministries we've done, is because we've said yes. People like you have come along and said, I feel led to do Habitat for Humanity or Granite City Breakfast on Saturday, and I feel led to do this. And we're like, yes, yes. I feel led to do the owl. Yes. It's hard. But that's what I have loved about Newsong over the years, is that we get to say yes. And we keep saying yes. Not always easy. I wish I could say it had all been like 20 years of just good. I wish we hadn't lost people over the years. I wish people could have stayed. Unfortunately, we're in a very tough time emotionally when we talk about our beliefs and what we think. And it's very divisive. But I believe God is always working. Always. And I'm grateful. And I just hope we keep noticing and showing up. And I feel very grateful for all the, not grateful for the heartaches, grateful, although they taught me something, grateful for where God has us today. And I look around and I think, this is going to be good.
So when Shelly talks about distributing product, she's not talking about drugs.
Ibuprofen.
Even though it's East St. Louis, it was a ministry. Jay had started his ministry to the prostitutes. And so she'd go down there at midnight on Friday. And we had a state police officer, a woman who was state police officer here, saying, that's the last place you need to go. And it was one of those like, I can't stop her. God has called her to do it. I'll keep the kids and pray for her. And so the product was feminine hygiene products and Happy Meals, whatever was needed. It is that sort of deep expectation that when the Spirit invites, that you, if you know it's His voice, you say yes. Just because it takes you to that next edge of, I don't know what can happen. And then it's not that God shows up, He's been there all along. Then you're like Jacob, you have eyes to see the God who's been there all along. And, you know, Shelly mentioned earlier that life tied to church is just life with people and life in relationship, which means it has its ups and downs. So in terms of, as you're thinking about sort of the challenges, I'll take this just a little further and just be honest. The journey of Newsong has been a journey that I wouldn't trade anything for. And I hope I get to be here until somebody says, Dave, we can't understand a word you're saying, and you can't even hear me. So just have a seat, and we're glad you're here, but I love what I get to do. But the reality is all relationship, we're all just people. And so as Shelly referred to, over the years, we've had the ups and downs and challenges of people. As Newsong has continued to become who we're becoming, it means that we made some decisions about what we felt the Spirit was leading us to do, or to see and interpret and understand about the work of God, the Word of God, and what that means. And so for the first, 10 plus years, I was growing into, not having language for it, the understanding of what kingdom theology is. Jesus' primary message, that the kingdom of heaven isn't a place you go when you die. It's the presence and power of God, a quality of life that you can find here by surrendering your life to Christ and living now I would say it, to be with Jesus in order to become like Jesus so I can do what Jesus did. And I didn't understand all that. I was coming to that in pieces, little by little, trying to sort of sort it out in my head and what's similar and different from what I grew up with, and how do you communicate that in a way that is clear, just determined to understanding that there's something big here. And realizing that ultimately, somewhere along the way, I felt like I'm being clear in terms of then the surprises or the challenges in August of 2014. Cheryl and I came back from a trip, and we were scheduled for our next elders meeting. And as I walked to the elders meeting, it turned into a 7.5-hour meeting of me being asked if I still believed in Jesus, that I believed the Bible, and there was this expectation, at least by one of them, that I needed to be fired for what I'd been teaching. And I had no idea it was coming. I didn't know where it came from. We struggled, talked through that till the very end. They'd ask a question, I'd answer it to the best of my ability, and it would shift to another one, and I couldn't figure out where it's coming from. I just knew this doesn't look good. I picked up a tip from a guy by the name of Bob Goff. You may have heard or read some of Bob Goff's stuff, and he talked about essentially, he was an attorney. It's just great kingdom work. But his attorney would counsel his clients when they're being confronted by the judge or by an attorney to sit with their palms up on the table as a physical expression of yielding and humility to what's being said, to be able to receive it without clenched fists and aggression. And I sat there for 7 hours with my hands under my legs so it wouldn't be so obvious, with just the palms up, sense of God, whatever's here that I need to hear, I need to hear it. I get that. I don't know everything. I don't know all things. I'm just another guy. I feel convicted to want to hear what you have to say, even here. And at the end of the meeting, I asked for a chance to sort of walk through, the best way I knew how, sort of what I'd been teaching that I felt like had been accumulative for these years and not just sort of a sudden change. And we had a meeting the following week. I communicated as best I understood at the time the whole idea of what we've been talking about for all those years, but in this year in particular, just really nailing it down. And one of the elders said, "Oh, now I get it." And the one who had organized the meeting just got up and left, took off. And over the next few months, we lost all the elders but the one, and over 100 people that left Newsong all at once. And it's heartbreaking. Because, they're good people. They love God, and I love God, and we love the church, and we weren't able to have a conversation that could sort of bridge the gap, and it broke my heart. But, I get people are just people, and sometimes the next right step is to say, I don't know that I can do this anymore. But it never gets easy on this side, and so we've always sort of, when somebody feels conflicted about being here, whether it's something we say, or like Shelly said, it led me to start saying from that time, hey, if we haven't offended you, just stick around. It's going to happen, not because we want it to, but we're just human. To recognize that the church is a gift, and the church as a family is really important. To see each other as people that care and love about each other and can have differences of opinion, differences of doctrine, and still see God's face in the other and will their good, and have conversations that can be difficult and still manage to somehow say, even if it's not where I feel like I can worship, I want you to know that you're loved. I want you to know that I see God's work in you, God's face in you, God's hands and spirit in you, and go with the blessing. And that's still the spirit of who we are. I feel like that's part for me of understanding what it means to be like Jesus. To just acknowledge I'm not Jesus, and I don't have all the answers, won't have all the answers. I have a responsibility that's I will answer to someday, and I take that seriously. But I'm grateful for the opportunity, even with those, I was going to say bumps in the road, even with those chaotic, difficult, tragic moments in the story, to see the hand of God still all in the arc of the story of Newsong, still at work, shifting, changing, growing me, growing us, singing his new song in ways that I'm just so grateful for, and recognizing it's just the humanity of all of us to pursue this thing that matters to us tremendously. The priority of doing that with humility and love for the neighbor, even when it feels like the neighbor is the enemy, and we're both wanting the same thing. And maybe now more than ever, it's a necessary part of who we ought to be as Christ followers. So I think part of the question early on was, were there times that you felt like you couldn't go on? The answer is yes. By the grace of God and by your support and encouragement, in that time, in the season of Grant and Michaela's journey and Simon's cancer, when I need to be here every week to keep teaching you. And it was all I could do. That you held us up. And you prayed for us and you encouraged us and encouraged, and by us, I mean our family, all of us. And prayed for Simon. By God's grace, he's doing fantastic. And it's the flip side of that, that the worst thing that you could ever imagine when it happens and the community of God comes together, then you get the opportunity to see he's worthy. God's with us. And I wouldn't trade any of that.
I think to piggyback off of that, and then also to be responsible to time, I wanted to share that 10 years ago, I remember that because I became a mom at the same time that all of my friends who were also at that stage of life were exiting the church. And I remember feeling this nudge and call, like Shelly. I had never seen a woman pastor up until that point. I was going through my own, I guess when Jake and I first started dating, I was like, I'm called to ministry, so I guess you're the pastor. Which is funny to look back on now, but that was absolutely 10 years ago. That's where I was, 20, yeah. And so 10 years ago, in the transformation of becoming a mom and reevaluating my own life and rhythm, and the church needing somebody to do kids ministry, and so, okay, I'll be the kids ministry director, and I'll step back into Newsong. It really felt like I was running into a burning building. Like it felt like we call those years the shadow years because there was so much disagreement about women in ministry in particular and how you interpret scripture. And so to live into my own knowing, like I was not called to be a pastor, and yet there was something being changed in my own understanding of what it means to be in ministry and why pastors are only men. And then after becoming a pastor, there are lots of women pastors, and it's amazing. It's a beautiful gift for women to be able to participate in the church more fully. And I had a wonderful friend Rachel, started leading a group on a book study called Half the Church, and what happens when half the church is not allowed to participate in certain levels of leadership within the church. And so I look back on the last 10 years and I'm like, so much has changed, and that was absolutely a milestone moment of such challenge and heartache. I absolutely felt the abandonment relationally. I felt alone in my own transformation of becoming a mother, but in what God has brought to be made new, that out of death comes life. There was such a community welcoming me into the transformation of what it means to be a female pastor in this community, and I'm so, so grateful for that. But as you were describing those years of challenge and heartache, that was happening simultaneously in what God was calling me to. And I believe that I have also been, how did you describe it? I don't have a flat tire. I have some kind of firing on all cylinders, some kind of car metaphor. But do you want to add anything? I don't want to cut you off because I do feel
No, go ahead.
strain of time. We are very excited about celebrating with you all tonight. We're going to have a party. It's a big birthday party. Yeah, so be sure to show up to the Ink House right next door at 6 p.m. There's food trucks, and a lot of our leaders are making dessert. So if you're competitive like me, you can taste test them and judge them. I'm signing up for that. The dress is casual, so if you want to be comfortable, we're going to have a dance party. There's a DJ. The other things I wanted to remind you about is to sign up to help with Unity Fest on September 27th. It's in the back of the living room. And then to plan to attend that as well. There's also a sign up back there for small groups. So next week, Dave and Grant are going to be able to share more about that. But closing thoughts about this day and why this matters.
3 minutes.
Yep.
I'm. Don't put a clock to me.
seconds.
Don't put a clock to me. Oh yeah, go ahead, do it. I'm excited for what Newsong looks like 20 years from now, 40 years from now, 100 years from now. I'm convinced Newsong, when it began, I had this sense of there's something happening in our country post 9/11 that people are waking up to wanting something different spiritually. And there's a whole stories in my head about why this building and all of that. I came across somebody once said that it sort of highlighted the fact that every 500 years God does like this sort of garage sale and the church goes through this major turmoil. The last one was Reformation. You may have heard about that. And ultimately, so we're 500 years in. So for now 20 years, I've had this sense of me like something is brewing, and I don't know how to wrap my head around it. I don't know what, but I felt like all along, whatever this Newsong is, it's not that we lead the pack, it's that we're a part of something that's bigger than us, even if I don't know how to understand it. And I'm convinced now more than ever that that's the case. I'm convinced now more than ever that the Spirit is reminding the church that there's far more to the life as a Christian than just simply believing certain things and asking for forgiveness and guaranteeing where you end up in eternity, as important as all those things are. That the call of Jesus was always to be with him, to become like him. It's about character transformation, becoming the kind of people who in our daily, normal, natural lives, goodness naturally flows because of my change of character into the character of Jesus. And that's the heartbeat of who we are. And we finally found ways to sort of put that in words that aren't all ours, but pulls together what's been happening in my head for 15 years. And I'm convinced that it's happening in churches all around the country, all around the world, that what the world is waiting for is for people who will say, I know that we don't see everything the same way, but I care about you. I want to lift you up. I see you as my brother, my sister, no matter what color you are, no matter what language you speak, no matter where you live, no matter what religion you profess, that we see the image of God in them and come alongside to them to be support, to be love, to just live out love to them in a way that Jesus would if he were us. And it will change the world. It did in the first church, and it hasn't happened since. And I think we're in the middle of that. And I hope to live long enough to look back and see all that God has done. As beautiful as, I'm way past 3 minutes. As beautiful as this 20 years is, I'm excited about the next 100.
You've got 43 seconds.
Whatever I've got left in me to be here to share in that is my honor, is my joy, and I'm so grateful to get to do it with all of you.
You're sounding like a heathen now. We have to have a meeting.
26 seconds to spare.
First time.
We recognize that a significant part of worship is coming to the table of communion together, that this is the body and the blood of Christ, which is broken and poured out and given for you and for your life. And this is the same practice, the same remembrance, the same recognition that has been happening for 2,000 years every single day. And today, on our 20th anniversary of this church, and sharing stories of God's faithfulness in this community of Edmondsville and this faith community that we get to remember. We get to taste and see that the Lord is good. And so, the way that we do communion here at Newsong, if you're a guest, is that the table is open. It's the Lord's table. It's not ours. As Christ himself invites you to come and participate, you come and participate. And we have bread, and we have gluten-free options in the middle as well that will be available on both sides. And we take the bread and we dip it, and then you eat the elements as you receive them. That, as Scripture says, that on the night that Jesus was betrayed, he took the bread and lifting it, he gave thanks and broke it and gave it to his disciples and said, take this and eat. all of you. This is my body, which is broken for you. And in the same way, after supper, he took the cup and giving thanks, he gave it to his disciples and said, "This is my blood, which is poured out for you for the forgiveness of sins, for the new covenant. Do this in remembrance of me." So as you feel led to come and to receive the elements, to remember Christ and his work 2,000 years ago, 20 years ago, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. The table is ready. Come as you are.
Thanks for your patience with us this morning. So grateful that you're here. So grateful we get to share in the story, and so grateful that we get to party tonight. We're looking forward to that and hope that you'll come and join us. This is a come and go thing. Come and have a great time. A couple of food trucks, have some desserts, and you just want to celebrate. Like this is like wedding dance kind of thing, like Jesus' first miracle kind of thing. Like this is about celebration, right? I mean, it's about the kingdom. The kingdom is about feasting and joy. So I don't know if you can feast with the food truck, but we're gonna try. Thank you so much. If you came prepared to worship with us in giving, we have joy boxes around the walls and online. Grace and peace. We'll see you next Sunday.